Welcome back to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome back to our watch club for The Mandalorian, Season 3. Did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian? Welcome back to Watch Club. My name is Nate, and this is our Watch Club for The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2, Chapter 18, titled The Mines of Mandalore, directed by Rachel Morrison. If you're joining us for the first time, this is Watch Club, our weekly review series, kind of like a book club, but way better. Keep in mind, we will be going into full spoilers for this series and Star Wars in general. So if you haven't watched this week's episode yet, be sure to do so, and then come right back in less than 12 parsecs. Now, before a one-eyed alien creature pilots a mech-like droid body to trap us and suck out all our fluids, let me introduce you to my fellow Mandalorians joining us for this episode. First up, she's the heiress herself, the magnificent, meticulous, and majestic Megan the Magistrate. High Magistrate Clara.
Thank you very much for correcting yourself. Also, I would like to point out that thing is probably the grossest thing I've ever seen on Star Wars, and there's a lot of gross stuff I've seen.
There's some gross stuff, and that, yeah, he definitely went up there.
I didn't like it.
Listen, he someone who I don't think is nearly as gross. He's also a high magistrate, but a different kind of high. He's the daring and delightful, dynamically insightful, droid-loving Darcy the Dank Saber Hudson.
I didn't really listen after you said nearly as gross. I mean, you do think I am somewhat gross? Like, that's... Should I be insulted?
Listen. In Star Wars, that's actually a huge compliment. Like, if we were sitting around a bunch of Hutts right now, they'd be like, "Wow, that guy's hot." But
okay, that's okay. I feel more insulted now.
I'm digging it even further. Listen, I wanted to mention Dank Saber, Darcy. I think that's a new product that you would really be interested in.
I feel like that's just like a name for a lighter that would work in any condition type thing. One of those jet lighters is a Dank Saber.
And it comes up. It's like a black flame.
And you can always light your bowl whenever you need it, or something like that.
Dude.
That seems like it needs to happen.
Can you imagine?
Okay. Star Wars, like, what are you doing? Get on it.
Star Wars, get on it. Disney, come on.
Disney, seriously, we know what you're all about. Week 2, back to Mando and Grogu's adventures. They wasted no time on this Mandalore adventure. Were you folks expecting to see this so quickly?
Not really. It was kind of like, I thought this was going to be the slow-burning arc, was them working towards going to Mandalore. But getting it in episode 2 means that bigger things are on the way. So I guess I'm pretty stoked that we got there so soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no kidding. It does, like, really climb the expectations even higher, because we thought this was sort of going to be our only payoff. And for what happens in this episode to happen in episode 2,
it's crazy.
I don't know. It's crazy.
I think the majority of the trailers that we've seen so far, including like the stuff that we've seen, Darcy, you and I at that Star Wars Celebration, honestly, I think the majority of it is from episodes 1 and 2. There might be a couple of clips. I know we're going to get Pershing back again at some point. It looks like on Coruscant. But other than that, like, it's just so exciting, like you said, Megan, the fact that, like, okay, we've already gotten all that stuff from the trailers, so, like, what is going to happen this season? Yeah. And I think it's going to be pretty exciting. Before we dive into this week's plot, I wanted to quickly shout out Grogu said his first words in this episode. He said Peli, or at least that's what Pelimato thought. Obviously, he didn't. I love that idea, though, because it is like one of those things where it's like, oh, the baby said my name. It's like, no, the baby never says your name, okay? Get over yourself.
He just said,
he said, bleh, 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 bleh. But I want to know from you, what do you want Grogu's first words to be? What do you think?
I was thinking it's got to be something food related. I mean, little guy likes to eat. I'm thinking he's going to be like hungry or food, please, or something like.
Let's hope he has some manners. Yeah.
Yes. Hoping the please is thrown on the end there.
Maybe some eggs, just like eggs. Just eggs is his first word.
Eggs, soup, something.
Yeah,
it's got to be food related for sure.
Something food related. I was thinking he would just say the Boken. I would think he just said the Boken. He learns from the Anzellans.
Learn from the Anzellans.
No, you know what? I think everyone wants his first word to be dad. I think would be the best.
Or daddy.
First word. Daddy. I don't know if I want it to be daddy necessarily. But with Pedro Pascal involved, I mean, anything, it's very possible. You might call him daddy.
That is his name.
Yes.
I think it's weird to think of something being like Grogu's like what 50, 60 years old, somewhere around there. And he's calling someone who's like 35, 40 his dad. It just seems weird that he's younger than him.
That's true. That is technically true. I also think it's going to be interesting to see if does he take after Yoda or does he take after Yaddle in the speech department? You know what I mean? Like, is he going to talk like Bryce Dallas Howard or is he going to talk like the
Will it be this is the way or the way this is?
The way this is.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Ooh.
That'd be pretty dope. I'd love the idea of like Frank Oz doing a flashback episode as we get Yoda, Frank Oz's Yoda, and voicing, and then he's voicing him and teaching him how to speak. Like he's the one, and Mando's like, oh, this is the guy that's gonna teach him how to talk. Like what? I think it'd be fantastic.
No one will get you.
No, yeah, no. The way this is, listen, before we go spelunking to take a bath in the living waters beneath the Civic Center in the city of Sundari, let's get to this week's episode. We open with fireworks on the planet Tatooine over the city of Mos Eisley as we witness a race happening on Boonta Eve. A Rodian is arguing with Peli Motto over the repair of his ship that has been stripped for parts. Peli makes a deal with the Rodian, telling him she'll put a rush on it in exchange for more credits. After confirming he's left, a group of Jawas rush out, and it's revealed that the whole thing was a scam, and that they were the ones who stripped the ship in the first place as part of a deal they made with Peli. As Mando's N1 fighter booms in for a landing, she smiles with her missing tooth grin as she asks, "Where's my guy?" And we see Grogu leaping like a lerman out of his ship and into her arms. Din informs her that he's looking for a replacement IG memory circuit, and she lets him know they haven't made those in a while. She asks the Jawas, and they say it can't be done, no chance cubes, as in no dice. So instead, she attempts to convince Mando to buy R5 off of her. And R5-D4 shakes nervously as he's almost falling apart. But after buying it off Peli for half price and a free oil bath, R5 has joined the crew, sitting comfortably in Grogu's old spot on the ship. Din, Grogu, and R5 fly out over the fireworks display as Din asks Grogu if he's ready for an adventure. So a couple of things here. Peli Motto is wasted no time. We got her back. We couldn't stay away from her. What did you think of Peli's Boonta Eve scams? And is it just me, or does it kind of feel like Mando gave up on bringing IG back a little quickly, one episode away?
Well, I mean, to the second point, I don't think that's the end of his journey with trying to get IG back.
Okay.
It's the only droid he's ever actually trusted. Mm-hmm. So I think that nothing can replace that. If it does, I feel like there will be a part of IG, like maybe it won't be the original guy, but still using his parts. I think the major adventure here is bringing IG back. So he's still on the hunt for this piece, and he's gonna find it, and they will bring him back. I think it'll just take a few more episodes. As for Peli, I mean, classic Peli. She's doing her thing, robbing people blind.
So good. I love her. I love her the way, like, I've honestly, with Peli Motto, I have gone a full 360 with this character. I started off absolutely despising this character, whether it was Amy Sedaris or not. And I love Amy Sedaris, but I was just like, I do not like this Peli Motto character. And that, to be fair, I think she was introduced in one of the weakest episodes of The Mandalorian in general. Mm-hmm. So that didn't do her any favors. But dude, like, ever since Boba Fett, like the fact that she kept the missing tooth situation, which, by the way, is something that Amy Sedaris actually improvised for her character. It was her decision to have a missing tooth, is so fantastic.
That's awesome.
I love purring like a nuzzle shrew, leaping like a lerman. Lermans, by the way, call back to Clone Wars, the species on Maigito. They're pretty much lemurs. Like, they look exactly like lemurs, so lermans. And then I also wanted to quickly call out the the pit droids carrying the same pole from the trash compactor scene in A New Hope that we did see in Book of Boba Fett before, and of course in A New Hope. But that's not the only trash compactor reference that I'll be bringing up this episode. Hint, hint. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Darcy, what did you think? Do you think IG-11 is going to make a comeback in this season?
Yes, I totally think he's coming back, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets that memory chip or the piece he needs from, say, IG-88, because another bounty hunter we know is out there and haven't seen.
He's still kicking
for
around.
a while. I think he is.
Oh
I'm
my
pretty
God.
sure he is.
Oh, wow.
I mean, some other IG is going to be out there and on the hunt. I think it'd be cool for Mando to run across his path.
That would be sick.
Again, about Peli, totally love seeing her scamming people and everything like that. Although I feel like she's kind of scamming Mando here too, because I mean, R5 has a faulty motivator. I mean, we saw that back in A New Hope. He was the one who almost went with the Skywalkers back to the farm, and then he shorted out, and that's when R2 was chosen. Like, I don't know. This is a sketchy little robot. I wouldn't trust him.
But
I don't trust her. I don't like it.
I mean, he's kind of the hero of the entirety of Star Wars, if you really think about it. If it wasn't for him.
I mean, technically, if we're going by some books, from a certain point of view, like the like anthology collection of scenes between the scenes in the movies, especially that first trilogy, one of the stories was the fact that R5 is slightly force sensitive and knew that R2 had this great mission and forced his chip to malfunction at the critical time.
Wow.
That was one side story that I'm like, that's a bit of a
God.
stretch. And there's a lot of stories in that book that are massive stretches. So
Interesting.
yeah, that's somewhat like semi-canon, I think, because those books are considered like true to form. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't trust this droid. Is all I'm saying.
Well, speaking of the Force, Grogu's got those mad hops, jumping out of that ship, doing the front flips, the back flips, the side flips, all the flips. His training with Luke really, really paid off, and it shows a lot in this episode and in that moment. I think, you know what? It is great to see R5 here. I'm wondering if this is almost a slight. Like, again, I do think you're right, Megan. I think the idea of him seeking out that part for IG-11, if we're already sort of getting to some of the Mandalore stuff, I'm almost wondering if they're going to use the middle area of this season as, you know, to kind of bring in some of those side episodes. But when the side episodes are getting a part to bring back IG-11, I think that actually raises things up a little bit and sort of gives a little bit more of a specific plot for Mando, instead of going from one planet to another for not as much reason, or at least it didn't seem like it in previous seasons. And I think it also shows maybe a positive sign of growth for Din. And you know, we were kind of talking last week on the Watch Club, and I was kind of saying I kind of felt like he was regressing a little bit to back to the old ways of the Children of the Watch. And so to kind of get him saying, well, I guess I'll trust this other droid. That being said, R5 is probably the least threatening droid in the entirety of the galaxy. So it's not a hard, stretch to kind of get to that place where he would trust him. But all right, let's keep going here. Flying over Mandalore, a nervous Grogu gets a little history lesson from his dad on how the planet used to be green and beautiful back when the songs were written. He tells Grogu that he's never been there either, and that he grew up on the moon Concordia. He tells Grogu a Mandalorian has to understand maps and know their way around. That way you'll never be lost. After a rough entry, they land on Mandalore, and Din sends a reluctant, unmotivated R5, see what I did there, out to scan the atmosphere. But then after R5 disappears from the radar, Grogu gets all upset and he convinces Din to go out and recover him. He enters the ruins, and as he looks over a destroyed city, he's suddenly attacked by a group of Alamites. And he clumsily swings the Darksaber around at them, manages to defeat them with his vibroblade, and recovers R5. Back at the ship, they test the toxicity and learn that the atmosphere is breathable. Bo Katan was right. Mandalore is not cursed. So what did you think of our first look at Mandalore's now destroyed surface, and what did you think of Din's fight with the Alamites?
It's hard to sum up because when they were showing like the main part of the city of Mandalore, or I guess is it
the
called
city of
something
Sundari?
else? Sundari, thank you. Like the big capital, I guess, of Mandalore.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the end of Clone Wars where Ahsoka and Maul are dueling, and it's sort of the beginning of the downfall of Mandalore. I know it doesn't happen right then and there, but that's kind of the whole start to get us eventually to the purge and then the complete obliteration of this planet. So it was cool to see some of the architecture still sort of there, and like thinking of the rafters from season 7 of Clone Wars. It's really cool to see that. And like, I'd be really interested, I don't know, Darcy, if you could say if there's any novels or anything about the purge.
Not really. That's one area that they like to stay away from, because I think that'd probably be a Wicked movie or something. I don't know. I feel like they're holding that in the back pocket to tell a story at some point, because there's been nothing about that window of time.
Yeah, I would love a flashback, I think. Would be really, really cool. And even getting to potentially get to see maybe like a Duchess Satine cast in live action would be really, really cool. And get, sort of, I would love to almost see like a focus on Bo Katan as she's going through these major moments for Mandalore in general, leading up to the purge. Because obviously, Satine died way before that. But I think it would be really, really intriguing to sort of kind of almost get like a Bo Katan focused episode would be really, really cool.
Almost like or a movie, like a Rogue One type movie, but
I'd be down.
It's Bo Katan.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
Take my money.
I think it I think it looks pretty intense on that planet. And the Empire just, they didn't just destroy the planet, they erased the culture and their memories. I think Bo Katan says at one point, and we've seen that from the Empire time and time again, like in Bad Batch with Gungi, right? The Wookiee tribes, right? The Empire hires these Trandoshan hunters and militia groups, not just to look for Jedi. Like, they were doing way more than looking for Jedi. They were like scorching the planet. Or in Andor, right? We see them slowly killing off the traditions of the people on Aldhani, right? As they're sort of like just slowly like sort of just forcing them to celebrate their traditions more and more. And then even Cassian's home planet, right, being completely uninhabitable and poisoned. It just shows, I think Andor did such a great job of showing how truly evil the Empire is, and I think this series is doing that, and also showing us Palpatine, he doesn't just want to rule parts of the galaxy, he wants to rule everything. And the way you do that is to really kind of bring every single person and species into just one formulated line that doesn't have their own sort of specific features or cultures. So yeah, man, absolutely nuts to see Mandalore like this.
I mean, I was just thinking there about maybe seeing some of those flashbacks. We have another Mandalorian making her live action debut coming up. So again, it'd be really interesting to see her side of the story, because she was also clearly still kicking and involved around that time. So maybe she'd have more insight as to what happened to the purge as well, because again, that's something I want to know more about. And even just seeing this, like, I want to know what could cause such like crystallization to this planet, like the green glass that's everywhere. It's like, what weapons were used that have never been used before just to bring this planet of warriors to their knees? It's ridiculous. I can't wait to see, and hopefully we do get to learn some more about that, because that is the most interesting part of Mandalore, I think, is what brought it down.
Yeah, you'd imagine Sabine Wren would also she might have heard something's going on over at that Mandalore place that I might want to look into. So that would be, Darcy, that would be actually be pretty, like, if we get Natasha Leo Bordizzo, and Katie Sackhoff would be pretty nuts. On a lighter note, crazy to see R5-D4 and a Mandalorian and a Yoda-like creature exploring Mandalore of all places. Like, it's one of those moments that remind you of how much fun Dave and John are having with this series. Like, it just lets them do the thing where you play with your toys. And it's like, when you're in a rush and you're going over to your friend's house and your parents are like, we got to go now. Why are you not even dressed yet? And you're like, oh no. Again, you just reach into the box and you grab whatever toys you can. You stuff them in your backpack and you go over. That's what this felt like. Like, that's what it feels like to see these three weird people
Like
together.
haphazard.
It's so haphazard and it's so good. I love it. I love what we're seeing with this episode. I love that the captions for R5 just say "warbles nervously" is a really great one. That's almost as good as Gronky honks or Gonky honks. And then I gotta say, yeah, seeing Mando fight the Alamites, which by the way, the Alamites. Every time I say the Alamites, I think of the Alamo. I don't know. It's like the Alamo.
Not quite the same.
Or like they're like a cult of people as well, the Alamites. I don't know. But he really shouldn't be using that Darksaber. Honestly, he's so clumsy with it. He's just he's not really good with that sword.
Maybe his bath in the waters will help him, clear his mind on all those troubles that are weighing him down.
Honestly,
manifesting through the saber. So
get some of those green rock salts that are they put him in the bath. And speaking of that green rock, it was cool to see the Alamites using that as their weapons. Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of cool to see that they've adapted and they're maybe they're kind of able to actually go into the mines and harvest. Maybe not Beskar, but they're like, hey, this is almost as good as Beskar, and we got to defend ourselves from that one-eyed monster in the caves. So who knows? Maybe that's how that thing was surviving. It was eating all the Alamites, but I don't know.
Ew.
Take me back to the Alamites. Okay, anything else before we move on? No? Yeah, we're good? So after discovering the planet is breathable, Mando and Grogu head back into the mines down under the Civic Center. But as they venture further and further in, a creature with glowing eyes stalks them. Din eventually finds a Mandalorian helmet buried in the ground, but just as he picks it up, it's a trap! And he's captured by a giant hermit crab-looking droid with a General Grievous-type droid body. And after tossing Din's gun and Darksaber to the ground, he kind of keeps him in this like weird cage thing, and he can't move. And he hooks up Din to some machine extracting his fluids. Grogu tries to use the Force to free his dad, but after making a loud noise, the creature is alerted, and Grogu starts running away. Din yells out to him to go to Bo Katan. It's all he says, and I'm just like, that's not enough instruction. So he does some mad hops into his pram or pram or whatever you want to call that thing. And he floats up. Pram, okay. He floats up. His baby ball. That's a better name for it. He floats up in his baby ball, and after expertly taking out another Alamite with a force push, he hops into the ship, but is then attacked by, yet again, another alligator-like creature this season. I don't know why we love alligators all of a sudden, but this time it has wings, but he manages to get into the ship fast enough and take off. So let's pause here. What did you think of the one-eyed monster and Grogu's mad skills in the Force?
I hated this thing. I've never seen anything like it in Star Wars, and I never want to see anything ever again like it in Star Wars. It was so gross. It was like really cool when it was that giant crab thing.
Sure.
And then when it came out of its machine and was this like weird, it was a robot, but it felt like also kind of a lizard. I don't know how old it is or how long it's been on Mandalore and what's happened to it since it's been there. I don't really want to know.
Yeah.
But Grogu, I love Grogu. I could talk about Grogu 24/7.
Give us a Grogu
amazing.
Episode already. That would be
seriously.
Right?
I mean, it was so fun though to see him by himself and like figuring things out by himself.
Yep.
That he hid and then he did his cool flips and then his little climb. I love when they use the animatronic that like moves on its own when he like walks and waddles. It's so cute. But then also seeing his little ears flap in the wind when he's like speeding out of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I just love it. He's so cute.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Grievous when describing that thing, because I couldn't tell. Is it a cyborg? Because there were a lot of organic parts to it. Like, why were he harvesting like organic fluids unless he was replacing his own with that stuff?
Like was he sucking out Din's blood? Was it like a vampire?
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And he was going to use the blood to replace his own because it's all radiated or something. I don't know. Again, how long has he been on Mandalore? It's a lot of questions were raised with that guy. And I for one want to know more. Unlike Meg,
for
because-
one,
I'm good.
I for one, I see what you did there, Darcy. That's fantastic. We're just gonna keep saying I know. Gave me Dianoga vibes. I thought maybe he could have been a variation of the Dianoga. The eye was very Dianoga-ish, and Din was being squished in that thing. And we know the Dianoga loves, being in a trash compactor and compacting things. He's all about the compacting. So I'm wondering if maybe he was part Dianoga at some point. The eye just really reminded me of especially when you're on Batu and you see they've got a couple of Dianoga there. I think the plural for Dianoga would be Dianoga.
I mean, it sounds right to me.
Right. I want to go back to when he picks up the helmet in the ground. I was getting a little bit of Luke picking up Vader's helmet vibes from that moment, and how Mando's looking down and seeing this Mandalorian, and I almost was wondering for Din in that moment, is that motivation? Was it doubt? Right, in the sense of was it motivation to keep going, to say we need to, this is a terrible thing that has happened. We need to kind of move forward as a group, as a people, or was it maybe giving him some doubt that was what, maybe all this stuff is just, hoopla. Maybe it is all made up sort of stuff, and maybe Bo Katan is right, and his beliefs aren't really worth going forward. So I kind of was really, I really enjoyed that little moment. And then, of course, the frickin' one-eyed juice monster guy came out of nowhere. Grabbed him up. I also put down, I love, Megan, off air, you were telling us some of the notes that you had written for the previous episode, and I just wrote, Grogu straight up yeeted that guy, because he, he absolutely did, and I love how this giant menacing, gorilla-like character is just completely taken out by this little baby, and it's fantastic. It's so Star Wars, so good. So good. Okay.
It sort of also brings you back to the first season when he lifts that big cow.
The Mudhorn?
Oh, the Mudhorn, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And you can compare that and see how much stronger he's gotten.
Oh, yeah.
Where he lifted that thing and then he was passed out for a few days.
Yeah,
whereas
literally.
This time he's like, get out of my way, and he's good to go.
Maybe that'll be his first sentence. Get out of my way.
Get out of my way.
So good. Okay, back on Kalevala, the family butler droid, as I'm calling him now, informs Bo Katan that they have an unscheduled, he says,
there you go.
visitor. She leaves her throne ready to tell Din Djarin what's what. She's like, I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. But as she approaches the starfighter, a little green critter pokes his little head up, and Bo downloads R5's logs to discover that they went to Mandalore. So she packs up R5 and Grogu into the Gauntlet, which, can we just quickly, the Gauntlet is one of the coolest ships in this show, or in maybe in Star Wars.
In Lego.
Please. Is it
thing?
out? It's a thing?
Yeah. I have it hanging in my Star Wars ship collection right now.
Darcy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there goes.
Yeah, the Mandalorian ships are sick. I've always loved the design of them. So,
Yeah. Lego just takes all my money. Okay, so then she packs up R5 and Grogu into the Gauntlet, and they head to Mandalore's surface. As she's traveling, she sort of witnesses the destruction firsthand, and she has Grogu guide her down the mines as she tells him that the city was once a beautiful civilization and that her family once ruled over it, but now it's a tomb. As they venture further in, they are attacked by even more Alamites. Bo dispatches them with ease, like she's been doing it all her life. And once they arrive at the lair of the one-eyed monster, Bo immediately attacks, which, by the way, kudos for immediately attacking. Can we have more characters do that instead of walking into a room and going, I'm here to take, it's so stupid. Just attack. And Bo does that. She immediately starts shooting him, which is fantastic. She manages to she uses her wrist grapple to reach the Darksaber, and quickly apprehends the creature, stabbing it through the chest. Again, very Grievous-like sort of fire coming out of his chest there. And then you see it actually it falls, but then it wakes up and it crawls off its own body and then climbs into the crab mech. And again, Bo manages to just kill the crap out of it, and I'm sure Megan was very happy. She recovers Din, and the two enjoy a cup of Pog soup. So what did we think of Bo's skills shown off here, and what exactly do you think is Pog soup?
I have no idea. Because it's just like dust that she's putting in a bowl.
Yeah, but we've seen dust become bread in the Star Wars universe. So
True.
It could really be anything.
True, it could be anything. I like the idea that it's inspired by Pogs, right? And then they have like, like a slammer chaser. I don't know. This is me coming from the
What's a
90s.
Pog?
Oh my gosh, Megan.
Yeah.
Am I that old?
You mean like
No,
the
I know
little
what you
flippy
meant.
Yeah,
things?
Pog. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know if it was a reference to Pogs.
I thought it was like a creator in Star Wars
Right.
that I didn't
Maybe
know
she's
about.
just saying porg with an accent. Pog.
No,
You've
that'd
never
be
had
so sad.
Pog soup before. I don't know why she just has a British accent all of a sudden.
Just when
Only
talking
when
about
she
Pog
says
soup.
Just when talking about
Yeah.
Pog soup. But her skills, she's the rightful heir with the Darksaber, right? Like that's
She's meant to carry that thing.
come
you
on,
can tell.
come on.
I mean, she's
Yeah.
she's a warrior who has no qualms about what she's doing. Clearly, even with the fall of her people and being lost and losing all her allies,
Yeah.
she still knows where she stands. So that clearly shows in her combat style. She is a true Mandalorian. Like you said, she shoots first and then will ask questions after the fact.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's just awesome. And again, it really drives home the fact that she is a true Mandalorian, as much as Din, but in a different way. Like she may have given up the creed or whatever that all the watch holds so dear, but she still upholds the values that Mandalorians care about, like being the badass in battle and undefeated and stuff like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, she killed it.
Yeah. I also really love that, she had the initial instinct when she saw that ship was like, let's get rid of him once and for all. Leave me alone. I don't want you here. But the moment that she knows another Mandalorian is in trouble, she's there. She's ready
I dig
to
that a
save
lot.
him. And yeah, that's like one of my favorite things about Bo is she doesn't have this like disdain for people from different groups of Mandalorians. She will protect and honor that they are Mandalorian and she will save them, and that's so dope.
But if you're a one-eyed, blood-sucking monster, she'll fuck you up.
Dead, gone, bye.
I love how she uses her wrist grapple to grab the saber, kind of like a Jedi, using the Force to pull the saber in.
Yeah, she's
So
like
good.
2 steps ahead of the battle already. It's so
good.
cool.
And it's really light for her. And in Rebels, we learn that the wielder of the saber, I think this stands for lightsabers in general, but they become more adept at using it when they've bonded with the kyber crystal inside of it. So clearly, the dark saber likes her way more than Din. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, oh, I don't like Din at all, but Mommy Bo,
again,
let's go.
Again, that makes sense. If you look at Terra Vizsla, the only Mandalorian Jedi,
Yeah.
it was his Darksaber and all that stuff. So obviously that Darksaber has an affinity to true Mandalorians, people born of the planet. And with Bo Katan being part of the ruling class, she's probably the best wielder in terms of that regard. So I can totally understand why she was so used to it, because she is such a seasoned warrior and is trained to use all these weapons, that the Darksaber would be like, oh yeah, she knows what she's doing with me. I can dig this type thing. Whereas Din, again, is very lost right now, trying to figure out where he stands in the greater galaxy with the Watch, learning about other Mandalorians and everything like that. It's really cool to see the juxtaposition between the two, because we both see them as Mandalorians, yet they wield this weapon of the Mandalorians so differently.
She also is so, it's almost like, when I practice yoga, nothing else is there. When she's fighting, nothing else exists.
Yeah.
She's in that battle. And I feel like the reason the Darksaber,
There we go.
none of us can say it properly. The reason the Darksaber doesn't work well for Din is because he has so much else going on that he's thinking about, and he's worried about other things than what he's battling per se in the present. The same happens in Rebels with Sabine. It's so hard for her to learn how to use it because she's thinking about a million other things. She can't focus. So Bo's just, she's just dope. She's badass.
But I do love the idea that maybe during combat she's so focused, but outside of combat she is still very much, and I think we're going to see a focus of this in this season, torn between these two worlds, and sort of the idea of like, those things we said in Sunday school, like that's a bunch of malarkey. We just did that for fun, and it didn't really mean much to her. But then you also see her, she gives Din the Darksaber back. So like, where are your traditions at here? Like, where, one side you're like, no, that's silly, and on the other side you're like, well, I didn't win it in combat, so it's still yours. And it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, well, you can clearly see her mind is divided on sort of her beliefs, and it's really intriguing to sort of see that and kind of how she's struggling with that throughout. It's really, really good. I also love when she asks Grogu if she thought his dad was the only Mandalorian, because like, we all know that, he's Grogu's dad, and it's just great to see a character on this show actually recognizing that, unlike, High Magistrate Grief Karga, that's just like, what are you doing with that stupid little green thing over there, right? Like, it's like, I love how Bo is very clearly seeing, like, no, these two have a connection. She sees Grogu as a foundling, and she sees him as Din's son. It's just, I don't know, it's really, really, really lovely. Really lovely. All right. Is there anything else that you guys want to mention before we move on? Because this next part's going to get pretty crazy. So after some pog soup and a discussion on whether or not Mandalore is truly cursed, Bo Katan reluctantly agrees to lead Din into the living waters. On the way, they recant how it wasn't that long ago that the purge happened. The Empire set out to punish them, to wipe away their own memories. They discuss how the division between the Mandalorian people is what made them weak and allowed the Empire to crush them. Bo continues to discount the creed, claiming the rituals her and her royal family performed were just performances for their subjects. Bo tells Din that her father died defending Mandalore, and there's that really interesting, very intriguing moment where he just says, "This is the way," and you just sort of see her almost in that moment. I was like, is she kind of insulted by that, or is she kind of like, oh, I guess it is the way, or I don't know. It was really interesting. Bo reads some lore off the wall, giving Din the full tour, as she says. And I like the idea that there were like tour guides on Mandalore back in the day. As Din walks into, that would actually be, Darcy, I think that would be your job if you were in Mandalore back in the day. You'd be a Mandalorian tour guide.
A tour guide?
Yeah, but like,
I know all the legends
dude,
and myths.
on the level of like the Disney tour guides, like you would be going through, and you'd have like a little special pin that you'd wear, and only the tour guides get to wear them, and it would be great. Sorry. As Din walks into the water, he recants the creed, but after only a few steps in, he's quickly pulled into the depths. Bo quickly dives in behind him. She dives deeper and deeper until she finds the light dimly emanating from his helmet. As she pulls him up, they pass by a massive eye opening and a loud roar of a giant horned creature. They make it to the surface as Bo breathes heavy in disbelief of what she just encountered. And that is the end of the episode. So let's discuss this. The Mythosaur is not only real, but there is one alive right now. What did you think of this moment, and what does this mean for Bo, Din, and the Mandalorian people?
I mean, I think it was awesome. I think this is going to be the turning point for Bo. Like you were saying before, she didn't really believe in all those legends and all the classes she had to go and do and all the ceremonies that they performed. And even reading that plaque, she said that the legend says. So it's not even history says. It's no one believes it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So to see a living, breathing mythosaur as she's down there after what was just going on with Din fully giving himself over to the creed again is just like, I think we're going to see a completely different Bo going forward, because she will probably believe a whole lot more in the way of the Mandalore going forward. And I can't wait to see what that means for just the people of Mandalore as a whole, to be told that the Mythosaur is real. And are they going to tame it? Like, what's going to happen? I can't wait to find out.
So good.
It's pretty unbelievable. I mean, it was one of those things where the moment you saw the outline of it, you knew exactly what it was. And I think all of us had the exact same reaction that Bo did. Like, the moment it popped up, it was like, oh! and then just silence the whole time.
We got Purgles in the first episode. We get a mythosaur in this episode. Like, cool your roll, okay, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, cool your roll right now, because this is getting a bit much. Hondo Anaka's going to show up in episode 3. I'm calling it. But I it's huge. It's crazy that it can live underwater. I'm wondering if it can only live under the living waters. I'm wondering if there's something specific about that water that allows it to survive down there. Because, like, what, it's eating alamites? It's eating one-eyed, blood-sucking monsters? Like, what is it eating that it's able to survive down there? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, whales eat one of the tiniest beings out there, so maybe there's just little parasites or algae that it survives on. Maybe it's just a giant herbivore or something like that.
Oh, yeah, and there's a lot of grass
down
there.
What do we really know about the mythosaur?
True.
That it can't live underwater.
All we know is its skull. That is the only thing we've ever seen of a mythosaur, is its skull. So there is so much potential there to be like, this is what it does, and this is why it's so important. And I really can't wait to see how they manage to tell a story with it. It's so cool.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic. And it's interesting too, because they hinted at this all the way back in season 1 when Quill said, the Mando. The Mandalorian people would ride the mythosaur. If we get, when we saw Boba riding the Rancor, we were like, holy crap, it'll never get better than this. Dude, if we get a freaking Game of Thrones level mythosaur riding moment, I will just be through the moon. I'm wondering if the Night of 1,000 Tears is what woke the mythosaur, or sort of maybe brought it out of hiding. But I love the duality between the beginning of this episode and the way that the beginning of the first episode and the way that this episode ends, right? With both the Mandalorian creed being interrupted by a giant beast. And in a way, I think this is really, it's a wonderful beat of messaging to the audience to say that the way that we keep talking about is going to change. It has to. And not only that, but the Armorer mentioned that this exact thing was going to happen. She says songs of eons past foretold the mythosaur rising up to herald a new age of Mandalore. And this is the new age of Mandalore, and I am so freaking stoked. You feeling it? Are you feeling it, Mr. Krabs? Are you feeling it? Honestly, and I think, just like you said, Darcy, this is the motivation Bo needs to rule again. I really do think so. A lot of people keep saying that Din is going to be the new leader. I don't think it should be Din. People are saying maybe Grogu. Maybe, but I honestly think Bo is going to. I think what an amazing arc for that character to kind of go from where we started with her in this season all the way to, again, leading these people would be so fantastic.
I mean, there's still room for like a right-hand man as the ruler of Mandalore, and having the Mandalorian who discovered the mythosaur, basically, or was the reason for the discovery of the mythosaur, as her right-hand man. Oh, it could be such a cool Mandalorian. I can't wait.
Let's go. I was
just gonna point out that moment that you talked about when he says this is the way, to her father dying to save Mandalore, or defending Mandalore, I should say. I don't know if her reaction was like an offended reaction. I think it was him. It's almost like, when a king or queen dies and they say, "King whoever, may he rest in peace." It's like his way of honoring the king's death, or Bo's dad's death,
right?
By saying this is the way. That's the true meaning of that sentence, which again brings a whole other level to the creed and to what these Mandalorians stand for. It's a deep culture, I think, and I don't think we've even scratched the surface with the Mandalorians.
The green glass surface of Mandalore. I also want to shout out the little plaque that Bo reads. Again, we talk about so many times how this section of Star Wars, this Mandoverse of Star Wars, feels so video game-esque. So you'd imagine we'd walk up to it and press X to read some in-game lore that this cave is giving to us. And honestly, if this was a video game, I guarantee this would be the section that we'd all get lost in. We need to look up a guide because we keep going down the wrong cavern or something like that. I'm having with Hogwarts Legacy right now. I'm stuck in some cave and I can't get out. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, sorry, Megan has not played it yet. But I also think too, like in this Mandalorian game, the map would probably be terrible. Like, I'm looking at you, Jedi Fallen Order, okay? Get your map together for Survivor, please. Lastly, though, before we get to our rating and sort of wrap up this episode, I do have a mytho fact for you. A mytho fact. I don't know how many mytho facts I'm going to have this season, but we'll call it a mytho fact right now. Shout out to Star Wars Explained on YouTube for bringing this to my attention. But the first known reference in Star Wars to the mythosaur was, in fact, not the holiday special. And instead, it was I don't even know if it is in the holiday. I think it might be in the holiday. Well, I guess with Boba's armor would be maybe in the holiday special. But the real first time that the mythosaur was ever seen in Star Wars, it was just a skeleton. It was a collection of bones. But it was in Star Wars Marvel comic number 69, where we get to see a mythosaur skeleton. And the issue was called Death in the City of Bone. So Bone 69, okay? These Marvel writers, they had to know what they were doing, giving this to issue 69, going to the Bone Town. And the best part of...
I want a copy of that.
Honestly, look it up. The best part is that the City of Bone is actually a Mandalorian amusement park. It's like, what? Marvel went crazy with their comics, okay? Marvel went absolutely... in a whole different direction.
Yes, they did.
But honestly, that's incredible that maybe one day we'll get to see an amusement park in Star Wars. I love the idea that like they almost do the opposite.
Maybe it's in the living waters.
Maybe it's underneath the living waters is the amusement park. You go for like it's a water park sort of situation going on.
Yeah.
That would be a lot of fun. There's like little mythosaur rides that you can jump on. All right. Well, listen, let's get to our rating. I want to know your overall thoughts for this episode, which for this episode, we're going to be rating it on a scale of 1 to 5 mythosaurs. Megan, why don't you kick us off?
Well, initially, when I watched this episode for the first time, it felt a little all over the place. We talked about this in our spoiler-free review, that this episode felt like it sort of went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Mm-hmm. But after watching it like 2 or 3 times more, I get it. And I'm much more comfortable with the back and forth.
Right.
I love the flow that it took. The storyline made sense. I love that we got to go to Mandalore so early, which makes me excited for future episodes. The main issue I had, I guess, was actually I have these notes from the first time I watched it, and I don't agree with any of my opinions anymore. So I just want to say that I loved this episode. It was great. I don't want to give it a perfect score because I know there's so much more coming. But I'm going to change my score that I wrote down from a 3.5 to a 4.5 out of 5. Mythosaurs.
Full point jump. Wow.
It needs a couple watches.
Your score jumped higher than Grogu, I think, in this moment. I think your score was flipping and flopping around. Darcy, what did you think of this week's episode?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it in the spoiler-free review too, that I enjoyed this one more because it felt like a return to form of the Mandalorian adventures that we've gotten in the last 2 seasons. So I love that fact. And then you pile on the fact that we were going to Mandalore, we were getting the mythosaur, we were getting some cool moments with Grogu using the Force, Bo Katan being badass. There's so many things about this episode too like, and it felt, again, like a return to form for the Mandalorian storytelling. So I loved it. I too am going to be giving this one a 4.5 out of 5 mythosaurs because I agree that there was a lot of cool stuff to happen here, but with what they've set up in these first 2 episodes, there could be so much more to come, and I can't wait for it.
All right. Okay. I mean, I think this episode had a clearer and more straightforward path than last week's episode in terms of the overall narrative arc, not necessarily the path that they go on. I think it did feel like there was a bit too much expositional dialogue as they go back and forth through the mines, walking and talking. I get it. Like, how else are they going to do that? But it just gave me some unfortunate reminders of the weakest episode of Loki, which was just a whole half hour of two characters walking in a straight line and talking, which this wasn't. I understand. But I understand why they made the decision, because they wanted to show the experience twice from two different points of view. And Star Wars loves their points of view. From my point of view, I did think that Din, at least that first time around, he didn't really say too much going in. So I think they could have at least cut that down instead of him going in and coming back out and going in again. Maybe just cut that down to one go, and it might have sort of worked a little bit better. But the creature design I thought was fantastic, even though you hate that one-eyed goopy monster. I thought the different creatures that they got and the aliens. I mean, again, coming off Andor, for being so wonderfully different Star Wars that it was, we were really missing those aliens. And so for Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau to come in and just give us a big scoop of alien soup, maybe that's Pog soup, was really, really
there you go.
fantastic. I think the growth moments we got, getting to sort of see these characters, and especially Grogu and how far he's come, have raised things up for me. The opening with Pelimato, and again, I can't believe I'm saying this, was so enjoyable. I love her so much now. I absolutely adore her. And the ending is just, it's getting up there in terms of like holy ferric type moments in this show. I mean, it's not as memorable as I think seeing Grogu for the first time, but dank if it doesn't, get me so excited for where this show is going. I think I actually enjoyed the first week's episode a little bit better, but I'm still going to give this episode a very solid 4 out of 5 mythosaurs, and it has a lot to do with that ending, because holy moly, I'm so stoked. I'm so, so excited for more mythosaur action. All right, well, listen, that is it for this week's Watch Club for The Mandalorian Season 3. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts, if you haven't already. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts or your predictions on the shows we cover in Watch Club, well, you don't have to fight a one-eyed, goo-sucking droid monster creature just so you can take a bath. Instead, Darcy, can you let the children of the Watch Club know where they can reach us by holomessage?
Sure thing. They can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or if that's too much like being dragged to the bottom of the living waters by potentially a mythosaur, again, we don't know how we got down there. Write in, tell us what you think.
Yeah, Dave.
You can get us on. You can reach us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric.
Keep in mind, we have a ton of other great episodes covering the latest in movies, TV shows, games, including our recent spoiler-free reviews for the Apple TV original series Hello Tomorrow. We got some... I'm hoping we get to cover Ted Lasso regardless. I'm sure we'll talk about Ted Lasso Season 3 very soon, as that show is coming up. I'm so stoked. And if you enjoyed this Watch Club and can't get enough Star Wars, listen, we got another Star Wars with this exact batch of people right here with the Bad Batch Season 2 Watch Club going on right now with episodes usually releasing every Wednesday. I think for the next 2 weeks we'll still have them out on Wednesdays, and then our season finale might be a little bit delayed as we did not get that one in advance. But that show, like, I was listening back to our Watch Club that we put out this week, guys, and what a good show. What a great episode. The Outpost, episode 12. Oh my gosh. So good. All right. We also have interviews out now with director and producer for this series, Rick Famuyiwa, as well as Bo Katan Kryze herself, Katie Sackhoff. Justin had the chance to sit down with both of them to discuss their voice in the larger Mandalorian story, and there was a really lovely moment about Star Wars parenting. So go give those episodes a watch, listen. You can watch the interviews on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric, and check out our TikTok at We Are Geekcentric as well. We got some TikToks going on. I'm still waiting to see who the first one of us is going to do a TikTok dance. It'll probably end up being, well, Megan, if you want to, like, we'll figure it out. I was going to say it's probably going to end up being me, but subscribe here, click on all the things so you can see all the great stuff we got coming at you. Darcy, Megan, thank you so much for joining me for this Watch Club. And as we say,
This
is the way.